Anthony Harvick here with a Boardman girls lacrosse player profile. We are joined by senior Jasmine Graham. Jasmine, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for the time.
You got it. It's senior year, and the things that we always ask seniors first off and foremost, what's it like going through a senior season and going through all the emotions that senior year brings, knowing it's the last time you're doing it?
Definitely more emotional. A lot of times, like no matter what the outcome of the game is, every single game is it matters a little bit more because it is the last time, maybe the last time we play this school, or the last time I'm with the team, or I mean, especially this season, we've had a lot of cancellations, and it's been a little bit more difficult. So it matters just a bit more, I think.
Yeah, senior year, you also get a little bit reflective on the career and on the journey. Let's talk about your lacrosse journey, where it started, how you got into the sport, and where you started to really fall in love with it.
So kind of unsimilar to everyone else. I started just last year. It was my first year. I got inspired because my cousin began playing. She lives in North Carolina, and my sister decided to play. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. I know some people that play. So I began last year, and it was kind of nice. I'd been playing volleyball for a couple years, and it was kind of nice to start something brand new. Kind of have to pick up the skills. It took a lot of work to kind of catch up to everyone, but I kind of fell in love with that drive to kind of get to where everyone else was because it was a motivation pretty much to have these older people, even the younger players who had so much more experience than I did, to learn from them, the coaching, a whole new sport. I think that was what drove me to continue. Was there was so much to learn that even if I only got 2 years out of it, or even the year I had last year, it was enough to keep me going.
How does senior year in lacrosse compare to senior year in volleyball and going through the same thing, but different emotions, different things going on?
Yeah, it's a little different because with volleyball, those girls I've been with since middle school. So on that side, it was definitely more emotional in terms of we were no longer going to play together, and it was kind of a program that was well oiled in terms of been going on for a few years. For lacrosse, it's a little less on the it is still emotional, but
Mhm.
I wish I almost had more time. I got a ton of time with volleyball, and lacrosse I only get these 2 years, and it's bittersweet because I want to keep going, but these girls are lovely.
When I look at the extracurricular activities that Mrs. Bird shared with us in preparation for this interview, everything. I mean, you're involved in so much in the Boardman school system, whether it be the future leaders, whether it be a National Honor Society, Ling Club. I mean, you go on and on. What makes you so proud to be involved in so much at Boardman?
I think it's definitely getting to know other people, like having different circles and different interests to be like around. Because it's very different going from playing sports versus like academic clubs such as speech and debate. You kind of just get introduced to so many different people and so many different experiences that I would not have without all those extracurriculars. So it's definitely an experience to just be around different people that kind of makes it very enjoyable to be in so much, even if it's time consuming.
Speech and debate might not be physical competition, but it is still competitive. How much of that drive from your, volleyball and lacrosse competitiveness do you take into speech and debate?
Oh, a hefty amount, hefty amount. I'm very competitive in that. It's a lot more mental, but I think that drive is still, like you said, it's still there. It's still competitive. So it just gives my body a break, but allows my mind to kind of get that work, and that competitiveness is definitely still there.
I'll tell you, your body gets a little bit of a break, but with all this stuff, your mind never gets a break. The big question is, how do you juggle all of this? You're involved in so much. You play two sports. How do you juggle it all?
I think what's important is saving a little bit of time whenever I have off, either if I need a day to myself or I want to hang out with friends, just to do it. I know a lot of times people like it's stressful, it is, especially with schoolwork, but I think whatever I need at that moment, I'm not going to push myself too far. So if I do feel like I need a day off instead of going out with friends, I'll take a day off. Or if I want to go out with my friends, go out to eat, anything like that, or hang out at a house. I think choosing to do whatever I feel is best in that moment's really kept me going because it is a lot to do some sports and have school to still worry about. But really listening to myself is probably the biggest thing that's allowed me to, stay consistent.
If doing sports and all the extracurricular activities wasn't impressive enough for people listening, you're also killing it in the classroom. 4.0 GPA. Obviously, that takes a lot of work to be able to get to that point. How proud are you that you're, ready to finish your senior year holding that perfect GPA?
It's nice to have that effort pay off. I love education. I like to learn. I like especially the programs we offer at Boardman High School. They're phenomenal. The classes, the teachers. So I think ending this my entire career with a 4.0 is definitely like it pays off. It feels good to like know what my effort that I put in did pay off. But also I'm glad to just have teachers that helped me get there because like I said, these programs here are like they're incredible and they've definitely helped me reach this point.
What was the hardest class that you've had to keep that 4.0 GPA in?
Love the teacher so much, but it was definitely Mrs. Berkey's AP chemistry class. That one, you had to be okay with getting lower grades on the test and still being okay with the end grade. The tests were not the easiest.
It's not a knock to say your class was hard. Yeah, that might be a compliment to some of these teachers. Hey, your class was difficult. When you think of the final stretch, when I imagine a 4.0 GPA is like getting close to the finish line in running, or getting close to that last fifth set in volleyball. What was the final stretch like, realizing that you're so close to a 4.0 GPA this year, maybe going into senior year, but also realizing you still had that little bit of work ahead?
It's definitely a battle with that senioritis. I never realized how when everyone talked about it last year, the seniors from last year, like, oh, senioritis is real. It is. And I think having that 4.0 or having these academics what kind of like drove me to keep it going. I didn't want to lose it with that little bit of time I had left because it is a struggle too to know we're so close to finishing and we only have this small amount. But I think what drove me is all that work I did put in. I didn't want it to just, go to waste or something to happen. So it kind of keeps me going in terms of staying on top of my academics as well as my extracurriculars.
Let's talk about future plans, things you want to do after high school. I know you're undecided on colleges so far. You have a couple that you're obviously mulling over, but when you're going to make that decision, what do you think would be the key factors? What are you trying to really get out of your future when you graduate from Boardman?
So obviously my major matters. I am looking into psychology on a pre-law track. I would love to go to good like law school in the future, but definitely for undergrad is club involvement. I want to keep that involvement I have in high school into my college career. So any type of volunteering, a speech debate team, any of those clubs similar to what I do now that can keep me involved with several groups of people in college, which would be even vast compared to what we have at Boardman because of how many different people go into college, like the scene. So I would like any school that offers, and I hope in my future, that offers a big amount of extracurriculars or just club involvement or anything with student involvement or teacher involvement that I can be a part of.
You're locked into that career path, psychology with a pre-law track. What got you involved in that? What made you want that to be the career path you go down?
So it actually started freshman year. We read a book called Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. This was in Safaric's English class. And it talked a lot about like the incarceration and unjust kind of the legal system being unjust. And I kind of got that sparked my interest in understanding, like what's wrong with our legal system. So I wanted to always do law for a long time. And then it was just last year I took AP psychology with Mrs. Blaze, and that class kind of sparked a little bit of interest in learning why we do things, the reason for like that reason for it, the brain makeup and how that kind of affects the decisions we make. So I kind of wanted to tie in learning why people do things and how that can help fix our legal system.
All right, Jasmine, we want to give you the time before we let you go to take the light off yourself and shine on the people in your life that support you and that mean the world to you. So, want to give you the time to send out your shout outs, as many as you want to give.
Oh, as many as I want to give. I want to start first with my mother. My mother's been my biggest supporter. I love my mother so much. She's been every game. She goes to every lacrosse game, all my volleyball games, all my club games. My dad comes when he can, and I'm so thankful for him as well. He works, so it's a little bit more difficult. So I shout out to both of them. Love them so much. I also want to give a shout out to all the coaches I've had, which Mrs. Birch is one of them, and all my volleyball coaches who have also been a part of my life, who've brought me to not only play volleyball, but then also my lacrosse coaches who have basically just sparked my interest in this and willing to continue to play hopefully collegiately if I can. And these opportunities that they give me to help me learn. Obviously all my teammates I had, I can't take too long to list every single one of them, but all of them, they deserve all the love. They've really helped me continue to play sports even when I felt at my lowest. So I give a big thank you to them as well. I would love to list names, but obviously that would take too long.
Yeah, we're not the Oscars. We're not going to cut you off, which
Oh,
is a good thing. Jasmine, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate it so much. We look forward to talking to you again real soon.
of course. Thank you.